So it appears that Iran has launched many missiles, sirens all over central and southern Israel and in the border settlements too.
Yeah, pretty much everywhere.
Well, I mean, look, I mean, the real question remains, you know, what ends up being the Israeli response to this? And is this, you know, are we watching a show, or is this, and even if we are, you know, at what point do we cross some type of threshold? The real problem is that this is working for Netanyahu in Israel. His bombing of Lebanon and his behavior over the past month or so, for whatever reason, I guess they've given up on the hostages in Israel, has raised his approval rating. He just brought in someone into his government that I guess was a former rival. And there is no way to stop Israel unless you are the president of the United States or whoever is making these decisions, you know, McGurk, national security chief, or this other guy. I mean, it's, there is a real sense that there's, you know, 2 or 3 lunatics driving this bus, and it's just, the brakes have gone out, and it's just rolling off a cliff, frankly.
I mean, Israel has no plan for peace, let's be clear. They feel that they can mow the lawn every few years. This has been their operating philosophy, and then continue to take territory via settlements, etc. But
this is like switching from lawn to like wood chips.
Yeah, and I just think, you know, let's not pretend that this escalatory measure is anything except what you say to cement Netanyahu's hold on power. This is not a plan for peace. It's just trying to destabilize some of these groups and cause violence so that to bide him more time.
We will obviously keep you updated on this. If anything else comes across as we're talking about this. I mean, it's it just seems completely out of control by a guy whose entire presidency, it seems like, he was most impressed with his foreign relations. You know, he's the guy, Jack, who you know, kept NATO together, and he was going to do a U.S. peace initiative.
Remember, he gave that speech at NATO, and everyone was like, "This is the greatest speech of his life. He's just that good at foreign policy."
I think that was a little bit of flatter the old man, but it's also like,
Fine.
Did the Afghanistan pull out? Was that just because he was out to lunch and didn't realize, like, oh crap, I need to reverse this decision, and then it just kind of went on? Like, it just seems like he's out to lunch, and we don't have a president.
I mean, I think the same hubris that he had in thinking that he could stay in the election and win despite the numbers and despite the fact that he didn't have his full faculties is the same hubris that thought, like, oh, this is an opportunity, October 7th, for me to cement a peace deal. And the idea that you can do that in 11 months, and the idea that you could do it during an election campaign is just, it's just nuts.
It's astounding.
It's just the hubris associated with that is crazy. And the failure of the administration to realize, like, you probably won't get away with creating a peace deal that doesn't address the 50-year occupation of, you know, the post-67 or the pre-67 borders. Like, you know, we can make arguments about, like, what is morally just and this and that, but just on a sheer practical level, the idea that you are going to be able to make a peace deal without Palestinian participation is just absolutely blinkered.
It led the way for October 7th. The fact that that they continue to pursue the Abraham Accords, which started under Trump.
Yes. And
going
that's what I'm
around
saying.
the Palestinians to normalize with Saudi Arabia. So, like, it's just, there's that Politico piece that we were reading today where McGurk and these other advisors are talking about how this is an opportunity to remake the Middle East in the United States' image. Like, it's Biden's personal hubris, but it's also the hubris of empire. And
They're just insane.
And
the idea that they're going to get this done over
Yes.
the course of 2 or 3 months in this context is just, I'm sorry.
I mean, Wes Exec is running the show, it seems. But like in terms of Biden, he overestimates his skills as a statesman and a politician, but mostly he overestimates his political situation right now. What leverage does he think he has over the Israelis? Because it's not the force of his political like acumen, both domestically and in terms of these negotiations. He is an unpopular lame duck leaving office in a few months. What leverage does he have personally with Netanyahu? He talks about their friendship. Who cares? You're not respected. You're leaving power in a second. There's no incentive for the Israelis to listen to you if you're not going to actually use the stick. But maybe this is what he wants in some regard.
It really does sound a lot like the neocons. Like it's year zero essentially.
I mean, look at whose endorsements they're touting for Kamala. It's all these neocons.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, and also I will say, like, the Netanyahu was instrumental in getting the United States into Iraq, and Biden supported the Iraq War at the time.
I mean, I feel like Bush really didn't need too much.
No, I know, but
Netanyahu loved it and said it would be good for everybody.
yeah.
And yeah, just more decapitation strikes. It's going to go well.
We should say Iran missile attacks have started.
Yeah.
It appears that they are hitting Tel Aviv. Although it's unclear. There have been explosions in Tel Aviv. It seems to be the reports. But, Israel also has technology that intercepts these things. So it's hard to fully assess. Biden says the U.S. is prepared to help Israel defend itself from Iranian attacks.
It's hard to assess right now what's happening. Yeah. If there have been any hits, I mean, I'd imagine that the Iron Dome is intercepting quite a few. But when you see the map of where the sirens went off, I mean, it's also in the illegal settlements too. There could be bombs dropping there, but they could also be trying to overwhelm Iron Dome at the current moment with a barrage and then hit them in a more targeted fashion in a few hours or something like that. So it's just a lot of wait and see.
I think what's happened is Israel's escalated with our help.
I mean, look, and people are saying there are reports of mass shootings in Tel Aviv. I don't know if that's the case or not. I haven't seen that on the news. But Cold Dog says, so this is the October surprise. I mean,
it's not a surprise.
Well, but the thing is, though, is that, like, what a coincidence, right? I mean, let's be honest. What's going on here? Netanyahu is, this is a twofer for him. It helps him, and he knows that it could help Trump.
Yeah.
This is like, the idea that this is happening a month from the election is not just like, what a coincidence.
Yeah.
I mean, this was
foreseeable.
Very
11 months
foreseeable.
Ago.
And I think Biden's lack of desire to discipline Netanyahu in any real way could harm Harris politically. So she should probably take the first shot and distance herself from him to some degree.
It already has, and I worry she's too late.
Drop Site News is reporting a shooting at a train stop in Jaffa, Israel, has resulted in multiple casualties. Initial reports indicate several people wounded, some in critical condition. According to the Israeli Broadcast Authority, 4 people have been killed in the attack. I mean, this is, the first, I don't know what it was, October 20th. We had Trita Parsi on last year, and the first thing that we were talking about is the chance of this leading to a wider regional conflict. And frankly, the players who have been most involved in inhibiting this from becoming a wider conflict have been Iran and Hezbollah. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
that's just the reality. That is just simply and it may be because it's in their best interest not to be attacked by Israel and by America. I don't know, but just as a completely objective assessment, you know, you can take Bloomberg News, that radical extremist rag,
Pull up
and pull up
graphic.
the graphics, which shows, you know, just like how restrained Hezbollah has been relative to Israel's attacks. I mean, they have all sorts of graphics that just simply show, you know, the
differential.
The differential in I don't know if this one.
That's the fatalities. Where's the bar graph one that
Yeah,
shows
the bar
just
graph.
the number of
keep going down.
rockets?
Yeah, this is the number of rockets that now keep going.
Keep going. There
This
it is.
is it. This is, you know,
The purple is obviously Israel. Hezbollah is yellow, and this is since
Israel.
October 7th.
The purple seems much more extreme.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let's be clear, you know, when Hezbollah is firing into like the desert as a way of just sort of indicating this is, you know, this is all part of the charade. But
We have to be doing something because our people don't like us standing around here doing nothing while you genocide Gaza.
Exactly.
And also, I mean, look at the difference in between airstrikes in between Hezbollah and Israel. I think that's also instructive. We could just put that back up. The dark yellow is Hezbollah airstrikes versus the dark purple, which is Israel's. This is just, we already know that Hamas doesn't have an air force. They don't have an airport. There's no symmetry in that relationship. But even with Hezbollah, which does give Israel fits and is the militant group that is the most poised to threaten Israel, they don't have the same weapons and capabilities whatsoever. So
Are
the
those
entire thing is
airstrikes
asymmetrical.
must be drones
Must
from
be.
Hezbollah?
I mean, the long range artillery is probably the broad. That's mostly what they're using, and the Iron Dome is more than capable of intercepting that kind of artillery. So that is part of it too.
Here is Jim Sciutto. Is that his name?
Sciutto.
Now, Sciutto. And he is in, I guess, Tel Aviv. Is that right?
He's in Israel, but.
And, you know, one of the things about Hamas is that they apparently will integrate their military capacity with their civilian population. And this becomes justification for a bombing in those areas where there are civilians. Now, I personally have an issue with this. If you are one of those people who think that, like, look, when Hamas uses human shields, it's okay to bomb those civilians to get to that, then you and I will also disagree about why I don't think it's appropriate for Iran to bomb in these areas, even though apparently Israel has the same setup as Hamas.
The U.S. intel view that among the targets were Israeli airfields, but also, and this is crucial, the headquarters of Mossad, the International Intelligence Service of Israel, which is inside Tel Aviv. It's in the northern part of Tel Aviv, but it's in the city. It's in a densely populated area. And of course, the concern is if you're firing, even though Iran might consider that a military target, it is in a densely populated city with civilians around it. And that's just one more layer of escalation. The U.S. intel.
Human shields.
Wow. I wonder if all these folks are going to talk about how the Israelis don't have value civilian lives. I'm confused. I'm super confused about this.
Their government, yeah, right.
How sick their society is.
Well, that's the thing is like when they talk about human shields, it's code for that they're barbarians, basically. That they're not as
we're gonna kill them.
Sophisticated, or they don't care. They're so motivated by this animalistic hatred towards Israelis, towards Jews, that they don't care about their own population, and it justifies killing them. That's how it works. It helps in dehumanizing them by basically saying that their incentives are very different than ours, the people who value life. And we know that it's actually total projection.
And the solution to all of this was always cessation of war and, like I say, trading of hostages after October 7, which Anthony Blinken also knew and tweeted out and then deleted that tweet because Israel and maybe American sort of militarists wanted to raise Gaza and maybe Lebanon too.
Well, this is Blinken's swan song, sung with a Stratocaster.
Should we try and do some fun stuff?
It's a little hard.
Dizzle McFizzle, on the real, no one should be getting bombed, and the genocide in Gaza must stop now. Yes, I mean, must stop months ago, years ago, at this point, almost. But it's going to be interesting to see how people address this. The Mossad has, I think, taken credit for multiple political assassinations and sabotage in Iran. It is clearly a military target. And the idea that it would be integrated into civilian areas is, I just don't know how you reconcile that by also saying that we can bomb a hospital if Hamas has a building next door to it, or underneath it for that matter.
2 minutes ago, Barak Ravid says IDF spokesman Daniel Hagari says that after an assessment and consultation with CENTCOM, quote, no additional threats from Iran are detected in Israel's airspace. So the barrage of rockets looked, I mean, the fact that it was directed at Tel Aviv is extremely inflammatory, but if they were able to intercept a lot of them with the Iron Dome, maybe it was more of a show. Hopefully. That's what I'm trying to hope into existence.
Hipster Doofus, did you guys talk about Ta-Nehisi Coates? Maybe fun. If not, we open up the show with that. Left me. I'm tired of the hyperbole about this conflict being World War III. When you guys just skip over Ukraine and the precedents being set by how that conflict concludes. What are the precedents set by being how that conflict concludes? Do we know how it concludes? I'm unclear.
I mean, I'm also against escalation in that conflict as well.
Pinky Wayman, you know, if I was to strip away your headphone, your audio players, Matt, that sounds pretty extremist.
We need a QR code to tell whether or not.
Exactly.
What if Ta-Nehisi just like, yes, I am an extremist.
Right.
I think apartheid's bad.
I really felt for him in that situation. It just it felt very icky the way he was being spoken to. Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Oh my gosh!
In that situation, it just.
I have a lot of respect for that. I think what he's doing is not a lot of bravery out there these days.
No.
So.
No, it's brave. I mean, he's built up a lot of capital with some of these, liberals, and now he's using it, and I think it's really a great thing.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.